Okay, so we've already gone over assignment two's lab tasks and everything in the last one. So today will just be a short thing, just reminding you of a couple of debugging tools available to you to track down some issues, along with a look at how we can extend some of the things that we've already written and things like that, just to go a little bit further beyond than the assignment itself. And then on Friday, we'll talk about assignment three and getting started on all that and stuff. But so first up, right here, just have an assignment two with all of the documents and stuff done. Over here, I have the assignment two with all of the lab tasks done if you want a demonstration of that afterwards. But right here, so just make sure to, anytime you really start a project or open a project up, you want to make sure that it is working how you expect it to, that nothing broke in the interim, or that you forgot to save something right at the end. So you typically want to test out all the features real quick, just giving it a quick play test. So we have all the features of the documents working in this. There's a few things I want to talk about a little bit further in depth, and that'll be the pickups. I know we talked a bit about them on Monday and went through that a little bit in detail, but I want to go through this again and actually debug and things like that. So we have our base pickup, which our base pickup, and I'm going to minimize these so they're not in the way. There we go. Our base pickup is the one that has the collision and does that safety check to make sure it only runs enter pickup when we are tagged with a base character, so that our pickups aren't interacting with the other things like a bullet or some a moving platform may even run into them or something like that that could cause them to be triggered and try and add ammo or something to a door that's opening and hits it and stuff like that. So we do that safety check right here. This is the only one that'll be doing that collision stuff, making sure that here's where we check for collision. Our other pickups then can just focus on what happens when we enter or exit them. Now, we haven't really talked about exit or used it in this assignment yet, so we'll be using that in a little bit after we take another look at debugging and things like that, since I haven't shown that for a little while. So in order to debug in Unreal, we can right-click on any exec node, and down towards the bottom, there's add breakpoint along with toggle breakpoint. These work just like breakpoints do in C#. It'll pause the code when it's trying to run that exact exec line. So we can go ahead and add a breakpoint right here. It should hit anytime a base pickup begins collision. So when something begins overlapping with one of the collision volumes, or with the pickup's collision volume, it should pause right here, and we can walk through and actually step as the code's executing to check out some more information. So right now, if I look for base pickup in our level, we don't have a base pickup in our level. What we do have is some children of that pickup. We have 4 pickups in the level, 3 of them being the damage and 1 being the max ammo. But I put the breakpoint inside our base pickup. We technically don't have a base pickup in our level. One thing about inheritance is that even though that's technically an ammo pickup right there, if we hit it, we see it's running the base pickup code. So keep that in mind. Your children are their parents, even though they're a child object of it. They're just adding additional functionality to or overriding the base functionality. So we see we're paused right here. When I hit it, it actually brought it up and then gives us a big red arrow indicating exactly where it's paused on. We can do a few different things, just like in Visual Studio. You have step into, step over, or step out. In case you forgot what those were, step into, if you're making a function call like we are right here, it'll actually go into that function to show you what that function's doing. Step over will stay in the current level and just go to the next node in the exec line that'll be run. So it would go over to the branch. Step out is for if you're already in a function and you just want to return back to whatever called that function, step out will just do that for you. So we're right here. We can step into this is valid for actor. We see target is base pickup. Step into will bring us to that function wherever we've defined it, and that's in our base pickup is valid for actor. We can then either step into or step over. We're not making a function call, so they'll be both treated the same. There's also the shortcuts of F11 or F10 or Alt-Shift F11 to step out of. So we'll go ahead and step into this. We see it's at the return node. And what this is doing is asking what we passed in, which the thing we've passed in is that thing that's hitting us. We're in the pickup, so our character is hitting it. We can see that down here. And we are asking it, does it have this tag of base character? We can even check the return value right here. We see that Boolean is going to be true. We can step over, step out of. We're on a return node, so they're both going to basically be treated the same. Even if we do a step into, it's going to step out of that function because that's all that return does. It returns back to what called it. So we're right here. We can see that this is going to take the true branch. Current value is true. And yeah, I did start recording. Cool. So should go over to enter pickup. So we see we're hitting this enter pickup. We're passing in that other actor that's hitting us. And if we step into this, we see it jumped to a totally different script. We're in the pickup max ammo. So even though this is saying target base pickup, we were technically hitting a max ammo pickup. And max ammo actually overrides this enter pickup function so that it can actually do its specific functionality rather than the base pickup, which would just destroy itself. We want the max ammo pickup to, well, add to our max ammo. We can step over. We'll go to the next one. What this cast does, it takes whatever object this is. This is just a base of actor. Well, base of actor doesn't have the function we've created called add to max ammo. But technically the object hitting us is a base character, so we can cast to get a reference to the base character version. So the base character version will give us all the functionality that our base character can do, any of those functions we've added, things like that. We see we're at add to max ammo. If we try and step into this, we see we are getting into the base character add to max ammo. And we can actually step through the code one at a time, how it's actually executing, just like this. As we continue on, we can check out the different values. Current value is 5. We're adding our 5 to our max ammo, which is 5. The added result is going to be 10. And we're setting our max ammo to 10. We see that we're currently paused on this set function, and the current value is 5, even though this is 10. Until this set runs, max ammo hasn't been updated, but we can watch how these things will actually run in together so that after the set has a chance to run, we see our max value get updated because we just set it on this node. This node had to finish what it was doing before it gets updated. We're then getting into our weapon component. We're telling it to run its reload. We can step into that, and it opened up our weapon. So this is a really good way to actually see where you're going in code. Is the code actually running that I'm expecting, or are the values all correct? Things like that. One other thing I want to bring up is that under the window, there's also developer tools, and there's something called the Blueprint Debugger. This gives you even more information other than just pausing the code and having to look at different things. The big one I want to point out for this is this call stack window. So this call stack tab is basically how we got to our current point. And one great thing about this, you can actually click on these all the way back to see where we came from. How did we get to this point? So you can see we're going from the base pickups to the event graph, which is calling that function for our enter pickup. And we're adding to our max ammo and our character. And that's how we got all the way to this. So if you do have a breakpoint hitting inside the reload and wanted to see where that's happening, how that's being called, you can go ahead and bring up the call stack, actually step back through to see where you get to, or how you got to this exact point. Moving on, so we're at reload. We can continue stepping. We see it's going to set that current ammo. Let's go ahead and step again. And it finished everything, got to the end of the execs in that add to max ammo. We're going to call our parents enter pickup, which tells that pickup to destroy. So that comes in really handy when we're trying to track down, are these values even correct? Is it taking the true path? Which path is it taking? Things like that. And I could demonstrate that 500 different times, but the best way you'll learn how to use those tools is just adding breakpoints and practicing with it. Try and step through and check out what options are available to you. All right, so we just went over the debugging. Let's also take a look at, let's say we wanted to extend some functionality. So our fire pickup, if we wanted to make that a little bit more advanced and say, let's just do damage over time while the player's standing in it or something, we can go ahead and create another pickup like that. So what I'm going to do is create a child of our pickup damage. And sorry, somebody just joined. So we're going to create a child of that damage pickup. So for this, what we'll call it pickup, ADV, short for advanced damage. And then we can open this up, and we see it does inherit everything our pickup damage has, which our pickup damage inherits everything our base pickup has. So we have all that basic functionality in here. So what we can do is go to our event graph, just does the begin, all the basic stuff. It's just running its parent code. So it is exactly as its parent is until we start overriding or adding new functionality to it. So we mentioned that we want this one to override what's going to happen when we enter this, what's going to happen when we exit this, so we can damage while the character's inside it. So we can override that enter pickup. And just for quick reference, I'm going to close out of these other things, and I'm going to open up our basic damage pickup. Quick way to do that, if you have a parent class and want to see what's inside it, you can click this little wrench over in the corner to open the parent. So that's just a shortcut to get to the parent's script. And in here, it was just immediately applying damage to anything that it entered. There's no taking into account how long it's inside or when the character leaves that pickup or anything like that. So our advanced damage, rather than just immediately applying damage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to store a reference to this other character that just entered the pickup. And we can do that by promoting it to a variable or creating a new variable, then setting it. And for this, I want this pickup to stick around. I don't want it to destroy itself when the character first enters. So I do not want to call our parents enter pickup. Our new variable that we're going to store is the actor that just collided with us. So we'll call this actor to damage. So that's the actor we want to apply damage to. We can then go to our event graph, and since we want to apply damage over time or have something happen every single frame, our tick is what runs every frame. Right now it's just calling the parent tick, which our parent does nothing because our pickup damage doesn't have anything in its tick, and our base pickup doesn't have anything in its tick. I could remove it, but it's just better to leave that in there just in case I want to add some functionality later so that it can also have the functionality from the parent. We can go ahead and apply our damage here. And the damage amount for how much damage we want to do, I could set it to 1 just to test it out, see how it's working. Damage causer, we'll go ahead and send ourselves as the damage causer since the pickup is causing the damage. The damaged actor, well, we store that actor from our enter pickup into this variable right here. So that's the one we want to damage. Well, let's go ahead and check this out. In our level, I'm going to go ahead and add these advanced damage in front of the other pickup, or in front of the other firewall that we've got set up. If we play this and run into it, we first hit our breakpoint because I left that breakpoint there. If we want to get rid of that, we can go ahead and just toggle those off or disable it. And if I want to keep it playing, I can just go ahead and hit resume. We see our character dies. Now that we've removed the breakpoint, let's watch that again. As soon as we run into the fire, we immediately die. So our damage amount might be a little high. So our advanced damage pickup, every single frame, it did cause damage, which is good. Damaged the correct actor, our other character wasn't dying. But every frame, so 60 times a second, it's doing 1 damage. Our character only has 5 health. Now I could set this to something like 1/60, which is like 0.0167 or something. But rather than just hard coding a value here, what we can do is actually set our multiply how much time has passed since the last frame. So our delta seconds is how long since the last tick. So we're going to create a variable, and I'll go ahead and set this as a float. Our variable name, this will represent how much damage per second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this little eyeball right here, which is currently closed. We're going to open that up so that it makes it instance editable, meaning this can be changed for each one that we place. I want to compile and then make sure to always set a value for it. We'll say it's going to do by default 1 damage per second. We'll then take the number of seconds since last frame. We'll multiply it by our damage per second float. and we'll use that as our base damage. Compile, save. If we go ahead and play test this, we run in, we see our damage going down, and we're out of it, and we're still taking damage. So there's a couple of things I'd want to fix about that. I'd want to know when we're exiting the pickup. So up until now, our pickups, like our damage, is just handling that enter pickup. What happens when we first hit it? Our advanced damage would also want to know, or change what happens from the base pickup for what happens when we're exiting. So when we exit, don't necessarily need to do anything for our parent, just exit. When we exit, we're past what actor is actually leaving, and we can see that right down here. When we do end overlapping, check to make sure that it is valid, and then we're calling exit pickup right here. Now, one thing I do see that can cause some issues, or like double pickups and stuff, make sure that this top one is enter and this bottom one is exit when you're ending. I often see enter twice because they look pretty similar and they both start with E. So if you just click enter real quick, it can go ahead and just add that enter twice. So make sure this bottom one is exit for our base pickup. And when we are exiting, we can check if the other actor that exits, because other actors can go in and out of the fire while you're still inside it. We'd only want to pay attention if the thing that exits, our other actor, is equal to the actor that we're trying to damage. Then we branch based off that. Only when that's true would we want to say stop damaging the actor then. Well, in order to do that, we can set which actor to damage to nothing. And by not plugging in anything, it's going to set our actor to damage to none. So that in our event graph, when this does tick, it's going to be saying none right here. And apply damage already takes that into account. If you do say damage nothing, it will just do nothing. So this is automatically safety checking to see if that actor to damage can be damaged and stuff like that. All right, so let's check this out. We're in it, we're taking damage, we leave it, and we're not taking damage. All right, so we've got some advanced fire. Now, one thing that I want to bring up is we made that variable for damage per second public, and there's a reason for that. I wanted to be able to adjust it right in here per instance. So if, for example, if I just duplicate this and duplicate this again, we can have 3 different of these pickups. Let's make that first one just basic. The second one, we'll go ahead and scale up how big it is. We'll double its size in the X, double its size in the Y, so that it's a big beastly fire. And we can set its damage per second. Let's say it's going to do 2 damage per second. Our other one, we'll make this one a bit smaller. Let's drop that down to, let's say 0.5 for the X, 0.5 for the Y. I also don't like how high that is. We'll drop that to 1 so that it's a little smaller fire. It won't do as much damage. We can change that to, like, let's say it's only going to do 0.25 damage per second. So now, without having to edit anything in the blueprint itself, we have the 3 different looking fires. If we hit this first one, about 1 second, we took about 1 damage. Second one, we're going a bit faster. And this third one, we see it's slowly chipping away at our health. So that's just an example of how you could extend some functionality and kind of explaining why we did have that end overlap that wasn't being used before, so that it could be used in certain scenarios where you do want the pickup itself to stick around. One thing I didn't show is that our other basic damage pickup still just does that normal delivery of the 2 damage that it's currently set to. All right. So are there any questions about that advanced damage pickup, how you can extend that, how that's working, or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't really have anything else to show you, as I mentioned, because we already went through all the assignment 2 stuff. I don't want to get into the assignment 3 stuff until assignment 2 is finished up. And that's not due till tonight. So are there any questions about any of the assignment 2 materials or lab tasks that you guys want some more information on?
I just have an issue I'm running into that I would see if you could help with, but I can wait until the session's over.
Okay. Then I'll go ahead and stop the recording.